Good evening and welcome to Undaunted, bringing into the news untold stories. I am Star Smart. Let's begin. Boye County, also known as the Baghdad of Ambazonia, has kept the flag of Ambazonia flying high with pride. Actions of the Amazonian Restoration Forces in Boye County over the past week highlight their dedication and hard work, the reason for which Amazonians admire their tenacity. But unfortunately, the people of Ngomgam and Mulang quarters in Bamenda chief town of Mazam County are experiencing a different scenario, being molested daily by La Republic du Cameroon forces of the new barracks created in these areas. They have been subjected by the peoples of La Republic, subjecting the inhabitants of these areas to indiscriminate torture. Many are pondering how La Republic du Cameroon planted new barracks in areas considered stronghold of the Amazonian Defense Force, the ADF. And many others are wondering if the ADF is no longer fighting for the liberation of southern Cameroons. While this remains a mystery to us, we still have the full briefings of tonight's Undaunted, waiting first for the prime headlines.
All right, here are the prime headlines for today. Now, the traders in Ndop reopened their shops after a long period of disagreement with the Colonial Council. Also, today we're going to be looking at the untold stories of the Amazonian War of Independence. Tonight on Undaunted, the ADF missing in action. They are giving La Republic the Cameroon military more ground in Bamenda. But that's not all. There is winning happening in Bui County. as there is a situation report that will definitely interest you. What is happening with Donald Trump? That you would definitely want to get up to speed with the latest report about Donald Trump. And in sports, Premier League matches to pause for fasting Muslim prayers during the Ramadan. Right, let's get the news in detail.
The media greatly influences society. They inform people about what is happening. It permeates people's lives by creating their own criteria and opinions. In this way, the media moves the masses, creating different social movements.
For over 60 years, the people of Ambazonia were deprived of such privileges. The privilege to enhance their own criteria and opinion. They have suffered cultural genocide for 6 long decades, but not in this age and not with Undaunted ABC Amber News on board.
You must understand that wars are fought and won in the media. The speed of the revolution on Ambazonia's quest for freedom cannot be explained without highlighting the diligent use of the media.
Franco-Cameroon colonizers, among other strategic moves, weaponized the media against Ambazonia for so long, and they continue to do so even today. The question would be, how much do the oppressed people of Ambazonia need to counter the media rage?
Indeed, how much more is required to stop the genocide? The carnage in Ambazonia didn't start today. In 1961, 1972, 1984, 1992, Ambazonians were slaughtered in huge numbers and help was not forthcoming. Why? Because the oppressor was the piper in the media.
The good news is we have what it takes to dictate the pace.
Right now, ABC Amba TV is taking advantage of the wonders of multimedia aggressively
to inform the misinformed and disinformed with Undaunted and other revolutionary programs bringing it to the news untold stories.
Most importantly, to win the media war by taking ABC Amba TV into every multimedia platform.
In a word, where the importance of storytelling can never be overemphasized, Ambazonians has to tell her own story, not the other way round.
And like we say it always, Ambazonia must narrate her story accurately. We can do this together, you know, right? You are just a click away. Visit our website at www.abcambertv.com, and the steps are quite simple.
With just a click on the website, you can become a club member with so many benefits.
You can also make a one-time donation, advertise and showcase your goods and services at the marketplace on the website.
That was easy, right? You're welcome on board.
And thank you for opting for the winning team.
The type of local authorities in some areas of Ambazonia left nothing to be desired. The in-house leave mayor of the Colonial Ndop Council for 7 years has refused to succumb to the cry of shop owners at the Ndop market. He put extortion first over the plight of the traders. Traders petitioned the in-house leave mayor that the amount of money levied on them by the Colonial Ndop Council is huge, given that business transactions are slow with the ongoing crisis. The mayor paid a deaf ear to their worry, maintaining that the levy must be paid in totality. The traders reacted to the adamant style of the mayor by locking their shops. The question we are asking this evening is, how can a so called elected official with a mandate to better the lives of those in his municipality not blink as occupants of council shops are on strike action by locking their shops for years? Oh, well, this is where we will begin the full briefings of Undaunted tonight. How are you doing, sir?
Oh, very well, Oni. Good evening, Ambazonians. Traders of the Ndop market in Ngoketunja County reopened their shops after 7 years due to the socio-political crisis and high rental fees they say the council obliged them to pay. The Colonia Ndop Council had claimed these rents were to be used for the local council support fund. The angry traders say they were left with no choice but to shut down their shops since 2016, as the in-house slave mayor never paid any attention to the request. With a low return from sales as a result of the crisis that was in its virgin phase, the traders petitioned the mayor to reduce the levy on council shops. The mayor paid a deaf ear, and the traders decided to lock their shops. Quoting Sofia Ndiche, a trader in the market, she explains that we cannot have an economic crisis going on, and the council in Ngoketunja keeps taxing traders so high. We barely could feed our kids, and business was so bad since so many people left the Northwest. We could not continue, so we had to close down our shops till date.
Well, the change of stand on the part of the traders came from a mediation champion in Jeku Musa, who is a member of the Colonial Republic of Cameroon Parliament for Ngoken Tuja. Now, the traders have reopened their shops and the market is once again active. In-house slave Honorable Njeko Musa met with the traders on Sunday, April 2nd, 2023, and in his words, he says, I must say, it has not been easy all these years. Staying at home is so much fear. I, for one, am happy that we can reopen our shops and start selling again. At least we will not starve. And I pray that this decision we will not regret because things are yet to completely go back to the way they used to be before the crisis. Now, this is what Thompson Lim, another trader, said.
All Undaunted is to find out if the Colonial Ndop Council has reduced the amount levied per shop for the traders to accept reopening their shops. It is a developing story and will bring you up to speed on this.
All right, moving on. The senseless war declared on the innocent, peace-loving people of the southern Cameroons by the genocidal neighboring French Cameroon monarch Bier since 2017 has already registered over 45,000 deaths, sent hundreds of thousands as refugees, burnt over 600 homes, towns, and villages. While we will continue to ring this until it gets to all the appropriate quarters. Now, the whereabouts of many Amazonians remain unknown. Many have fled to the unknown. Many are dying on the high sea just in search of shelter. Numbers in La Republique du Cameroon are in dungeons, jails unknown, number of rape cases uncountable, number of those maimed uncountable as well, number of shops and properties looted by the corrupt barbaric La Republique du Cameroon military uncountable too.
Well, there is a long list of many atrocities, popular atrocities, perpetrated against the peoples of Amazonia, naming a few: a 4 months old baby martyr who was killed by the colonial La Republic du Cameroon soldiers in Muyuka, 80 years old Mami Api, who was burnt to ashes in Kwakwa, another baby who was fried in oil in Momo County, and a nursing mother and a baby who were murdered by La Republic du Cameroon military in Ndop County in Ndop local government area. There is also the report of a baby, Carol Liazi, who was gunned down on her way to school in Boya local government area. Baby Tatao, who was gunned down on her way back from school in Bamenda local government area. General Nopiti's ex, who was whisked off to jail, heavily pregnant, and also gave birth in jail while under Crow La Republic du Cameroon's military custody. Thomas Tangam, who was also chained to death in his hospital bed in Yaoundé, and also the popular Sam Sawyer, who was killed by the La Republic du Cameroon's military. La Republic military also killed a woman in Guzang just returning from taking her bath.
Well, also, 8 children killed by military in a school in Kumba, Ekundu, Titi local government areas, hospitals, schools, colleges, and churches burnt by military. Same who kill health workers. La Republic declare military, making work very difficult for doctors without borders. That report was also brought to you on counted times. La Republic declare military killed over 30 people in Ngabo, Ndu local government area, which includes children and pregnant that we have also brought. That's the Ngabo massacre. La Republic to Cameroon military killed over 30 people in Santa Pian local government area. Well, in Boyo County, women for the first time were seen digging graves to bury their dead as most men had disappeared with the war.
Well, in a popular video clip, a 20-year-old female victim recounts her sad story how she, while trying to escape the war with her mother to another village, instead moved from what is commonly termed in jargon from frying pan to fire, as she lost one eye in the event and this has cost her a fortune, but she has no choice but to accept her present condition and live with it. Many Amazonian youths are similarly in same situations but don't have the opportunity to make them public as she has done. Many are dying in silence and thousands have died in various such confrontations, buried in mass graves. As a matter of fact, many families are still thinking that they are going to see their dear ones someday when these have been killed and buried in mass long ago by the military.
Well, the above are just selected highlights as the untold story of the Amazonian War of Independence is in volumes. Yet the world remains silent as if black blood doesn't matter. How many Amazonians will genocidal La Republic de Cameroon kill? Ponder on this. How many houses and homes will genocidal La Republic de Cameroon burn? How many women and girls shall they rape? How many Amazonians shall La Republic de Cameroon maim? How many will die on the high sea in search of shelter? We've given you reports about that over and over again. And how many must be registered as refugees before the international community and the world at large know that Amazonians must be free?
While the people of Ngongam and Mulang quarters in Bamenda chief town of Mazam County are molested daily by La Republic du Cameroon terrorist forces of the new barracks created in these areas. They have been subjecting the inhabitants of these areas to indiscriminate torture. Many are pondering how the La Republic du Cameroon planted new barracks in areas considered strongholds of the Amazonian Defense Force.
Well, is it that the ADF is no longer fighting for the liberation of the Southern Cameroons anymore? Or let's ask it differently. Are they not making it easy for the colonial La Republic to Cameroon military? Now, the Amazonian Defense Forces are meeting in action in Bamenda. This is because La Republic de Cameroon is planting barracks in different quarters. Now, inhabitants in Ngoham Quarter and Mulang Quarter, precisely around the Dominion Hotel Junction, are living in certainty with the unpredictable attitude of the colonial La Republic de Cameroon terrorist forces. Two La Republic de Cameroon military barracks have been mounted in Ngoham and Mulang neighborhood. Barely a week after their installation, they erected roadblocks and continued with the extortion chain.
While deafening gunshots are frequent in these areas, for fear of the unknown, some shop owners are no longer operating with ideas of relocating clouding their mind. The presence of these La Republic to Cameroon barracks is blamed on the dormant attitude of the ADF of recent. The Amazonian Defense Force have gone to sleep for reasons best known only to them. This has paved a leeway for the colonial La Republic to Cameroon's terrorists to penetrate quarters they couldn't access before. On Wednesday, 29th, 2023, in a similar operation by these thugs in these quarters, the people of Amazonia were pulled out of their homes and given snake bites.
Well, the reason is that the people have not so far exposed to them the hideout of the Amazonian fighters. Many dwellers of these areas confer to Undaunted that they don't know the use of the Amazonian fighters again. To them, the ADF is rather exposing them to be dealt with by La Republic colonial forces.
Well, moving on to the next report, Bowie County Situation Report. Bowie County, the land of no return, also known as the Baghdad of Amazonia, has kept the flag of Amazonia flying high with pride. Actions of the Amazonian Restoration Forces, ARF, in Bowie County over the past week highlight their dedication and hard work, the reason for which Amazonians admire their tenacity. On Sunday, 25th March 2023, La Republic du Cameroon terrorists invaded the village of Vekovi from three directions and burned down several civilian houses. One civilian, commonly known as Labor, was rounded up in his house and executed in front of his wife, being accused of being an Amazonian Restoration Force.
Well, this execution was followed by that of Mr. Killian, an ex-SDF councillor from Nkar in Zekwa local government area who had been under illegal arrest and detained in Communicado for over a month in the torture chambers in Kumbo B camp. Mr. Killian's dead body was found dumped around the Nkar market, some 1 kilometer away from his house and from where he was arrested. The Boye County of the Amazonian Restoration Forces on Tuesday, 28 March, joined forces with those from Donga Matun County and launched an ambush on one of the La Republic of Cameroon terrorists patrolling vehicle at Ngabor in Donga Matun County, killing at least six of their elements and sending others with critical injuries to the hospital.
A rocket was launched into their patrol vehicle that shattered all the occupants in the back of the pickup, and the driver was lucky to survive the ordeal, who lives to tell the story. On Wednesday, 29th of March 2023, the newly deployed La Republic to Cameroon terrorist elements in Kumbo were fooled by those that had been there longer to enter into Mve and attacked the almighty Bui warriors of the Amazonian Restoration Forces. They sneaked into their positions at night, not knowing that their plans and movements were being monitored. Some elements stationed at Mve Market, while another contingent bunkered at an abandoned story building at Tamve.
Well, as it dawned, the terrorists at Mvei tried to lure their warriors into an ambush by firing some gunshots into the air. The warriors ignored their bait and instead surrounded those that were hiding at Tamve. The battle there was intense, with the warriors firing a grenade with the help of a rocket launcher into their bunker. Gunshots erupted all across Kumbu town as terrorists stationed in their colonial brigade squares company at Tobin, and those they indiscriminately fired into the air. Three armored cars quickly left Tobin at high speed for a rescue mission. As they approached Kuna Water, a locally made improvised device, locally known as the Mei, handicapped their last vehicle. The other two vehicles continued at high speed towards their Tamvei for the rescue mission, and two other heavy detonations pinned them down.
Well, angered by their losses and injuries, coupled with their failed adventure, the elements of terror redirected their anger at innocent shops in Vey Market by burning them down. The warriors continued their offensive attacks, and the disgraced La Republic du Cameroon terrorists ran out of Vey towards squares. As they drove through squares, the Amazonian Restoration Forces of Ariba made their own statement, known as one of their gunner, what shot in the terrorists responded by firing indiscriminately into a nearby license, killing one person at the spot and wounding eight others, who were all rushed to the Bansou Baptist Hospital BBH for treatment. Later that night at 11 p.m., some La Republic du Cameroon terrorist elements forcefully entered the Bansou Baptist Hospital in search of wounded warriors. They ended up removing a sick patient named Withheld from the hospital bed and took him to their torture chambers in the Tobin. His fate we can already predict.
Hmm. Great successes there. Now, on the 31st of March, the Zekwa local government area Amazonian Restoration Forces ambush unit under the command of General Wonyo struck a convoy of La Republique du Cameroon tourists that was entering into Bowie County precisely at sub. They were left with a bloody nose and lucky to have survived. At least 18 La Republique du Cameroon terrorist elements have been killed this week alone in Bowie County, with so many others sustaining life-threatening wounds. They all left to fend for themselves and tell the story to others.
While the Boyi warriors are once again calling on La Republic terrorist elements in Boyi and Amazonia in general to hand over their weapons to the nearest Amazonian Restoration Forces base and be given a safe passage to a safe neighboring country. The Boyi Amazonian Restoration Forces are also calling on all Amazonian people, friends, and well wishers, lovers of the sublime ideals of justice, freedom, peace, liberty, and independence to continue to support them so they can continue to fight these terrorists until they capitulate and leave the territory of Amazonia. Now, on to a breaking news.
All right, and this is a breaking news. March 28th and 29th, intelligence has it that La Republic du Cameroon and some corrupt leaders of the Muslim community had a secret meeting at Old Town Bamenda against Ambazonians and the struggle. The leader of the meeting was a Tanga Nji secretary from Yaoundé.
Well, from this report, they have a plan to separate Francophone from us in order to spray all of Amazonians to death. Also, according to our intelligence report, the ADF in Bamenda are not fighting anymore. That's why military barracks are increasing in Bamenda almost daily.
Well, word getting to Undaunted from someone in the military, a member of the SNL, he says boys from the DDR centers and girls have been sent into Amazonia with money and poison, aiming for bars where Amazonians go to drink. Now, what is their intention? Their intention is to poison their drinks, while the women would be used as bait to get Amazonian young men and execute them.
Well, we'll bring this information as a caution for all Amazonians to take precautions and not be lured into the snare. Any suspicious money given with any form of request in return should be avoided, and instead, such an Amazonian should retreat to safety. This message got to Undaunted, courtesy of a good Samaritan. Stay safe, Amazonians, and we'll be right back after this break.
We the people, ABC Amba TV, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless, the voice of Ambazonia, connecting the world from Africa. With untold stories, Africa's best.
Onto our African reports. In Africa, while the court case in Nigeria concerning the petitions of presidential candidates go on, the trial of Samura Kamara, presidential candidate of Sierra Leone's main opposition party, resumed on Monday in Freetown. Samura Kamara, leader of the All People's Congress APC, is currently on trial for corruption. If convicted, he will be barred from running for office or holding public office.
Well, courtesy of Africa News, it says the High Court judge, Honorable Justice Adrian Fisher, gave an order to move the court to New York. There was conflicting evidence before the court during the trial. Both parties were saying different things, which prompted the judge to order for the veracity of that information. The court should go and inspect the Chancery Building in New York, in the USA, so as to have conducted their inspection.
Well, the court plans on presenting the reports to Sierra Leoneans. The reason why it had the audience is because it is considered a public interest matter. And since December 2021, Samora Kamara has been on trial for allegedly embezzling public funds from a consulate renovation project in New York during his time as head of diplomacy. Samora Kamara is seen as the main rival to current President Julius Maada Bio. Meanwhile, authorities in Sierra Leone announced on Monday that they have banned political street parades, a tradition during election campaigns in the West African country, less than 3 months before the presidential elections.
Well, election periods are not a time for dancing and joy, but rather a time for deep reflection. The Political Parties Regulatory Commission, a state body, said in a statement announcing the ban. During campaign, the country's two main parties, the ruling Sierra Leone People's Party (SLPP) and the All Progressive Congress (APC), typically holds parades through towns. The new rules now require parties to designate a fixed location, which could be a stadium, a community center, and all of that, to hold their campaign rallies. Playing on the credibility of the people, politicians have for years used the streets circus to cloud the thinking of the electorate, especially young people, by doing drugs and other intoxicants, says the commission.
Now, according to Shin Momo, spokesperson for the commission, the ban could, quote, reduce violence to a minimum. Year after year in Sierra Leone, campaign street parades have become an increasingly serious threat to the safety of ordinary people. He told AFP these rallies were marred by violence and insults and threats towards political opponents. Presidential, parliamentary, and municipal elections in this country of some 8 million people will take place on June 24th. President Julius Maada Bio will run for a second term there. His main opponent, All Progress Congress APC leader Samura Kamara, who is currently in trial for corruption, if convicted, cannot stand for election or hold office in the state. Well, that's all for now on this report. Until more to these stories come your way.
All right, and also, in a historic and unprecedented day for America, former President Donald Trump has been arrested and arraigned on criminal charges today. Mr. Trump appeared for his arraignment before Judge Joanna Meechan at about 12:15 p.m. ET on Tuesday, that's today's afternoon, becoming the first current or former U.S. president ever to be criminally charged. Reports suggest that he faced 34 felony charges but will not be handcuffed or put in a jail cell and will not have his mugshot taken.
Well, Mr. Trump angrily responded to the reported leak of those details by fuming on his Truth Social platform that Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg should now indict himself. The former president flew into New York on Monday aboard his Trump Force One Boeing 757 plane before spending the night at Trump Tower in Manhattan. The date and time of the court hearing for the arraignment of former President Donald Trump have been confirmed by the court and will take place on Tuesday. That's the 4th of April today at 2:15 p.m. ET.
Well, a Manhattan grand jury voted on Thursday to indict former President Donald Trump for falsifying business records in connection to her 2016 hush money payment to porn actor Stormy Daniels for her to remain silent about her 2006 affair she claimed to have had with Mr. Trump, an allegation Mr. Trump, has denied. Well, it has been reported that Mr. Trump is facing more than 30 counts of business fraud. Well, after the hearing, he's supposed to have been flown back to his Mar-a-Lago mansion in Palm Beach, Florida, to deliver a primetime address, which was supposed to be at 8:15 p.m.
Well, the dramatic and historic event come after a grand jury indictment indicted Mr. Trump over a hush money payment to adult film star Stormy Daniels in the lead up to the 2016 presidential elections. His estranged former fixer, Michael Cohen, has already served jail time over the payment.
All right, and there is this recent video that we got, Costi of Fox News. Now, let's see it.
Professor, I can just tell you that we have information that Donald Trump has now been formally arrested, and he is. That has just happened. And he said on his way there, he said, heading to Lower Manhattan, the courthouse seems so surreal. Wow, they're going to arrest me. Well, they now have. And so, Professor, do you think this is, we've heard a lot of different arguments in the last hour or two. Do you think it is damaging for Donald Trump, or will he benefit politically from it?
Well, you got to make a distinction here. He may, in the short run, politically benefit in a Republican primary. And look, Ron DeSantis, Mike Pence, and with the exception of Asa Hutchinson, all of his rivals have sniveled at his feet and adopted the same bluster as Donald Trump, not giving Republican voters any reason to vote for them as opposed for Trump. But it's a very different matter when it comes to a general election. 60%, according to a recent CNN poll, support the indictment. 70% think that Donald Trump did something minimally unethical and arguably illegal. He also faces very serious possible criminal indictments in Georgia for tampering with a free and fair election, in the DOJ for possibly inciting an insurrection and mishandling national security documents. I don't think he can survive even in a Republican primary if he gets all of these indictments.
All right, very sad there and highly historic. You trust that we will definitely bring you up to speed with all of the development that would go around the Trump's indictments. Well, coming up next is the editorial, and Stasmat will deliver that for us.
As you know, our editorial are collections of articles from Ambazonian archives. Tonight we take a look at one from R.T. Munang, with the focus revitalizing African politics for sustainable development, acknowledging challenges and taking practical steps forward. The enduring influence of colonial politics has severely impacted African societies, dismantling traditional leadership structures and replacing them with a system focused on material wealth and political allegiance. This reality check highlights the urgent need to reshape politics for a betterment of the continent. By identifying the challenges and implementing practical solutions, Africa can foster develop what truly serves the people. Acknowledging the challenges. First, clash between colonial and traditional leadership structures. The shift from wisdom and community oriented leadership to one centered on material wealth has eroded the quality of leadership, particularly among the youth and women who may possess innate leadership qualities but lack financial resources. Two, loss of expertise in national roles. The reliance on political elections to fill key government positions has led to a disconnect between the needs of constituencies and the national responsibilities of ministers. Three, interference of politics in personal careers. The conflation of political roles and personal careers has resulted in a brain drain, with experts and intellectuals lured away from their original fields. Four, the impact of elections on socio-economic development. Election years often bring disruption and stagnation, with communities traumatized by intense competition for votes and a lack of clear success pathways. Five, failure to utilize parliament effectively. Partisan divisions have hindered the consolidation of knowledge in parliament, leading to hasty decision making without proper scrutiny. Taking practical steps forward. First, reestablish traditional leadership values, encourage the integration of traditional wisdom and community values into the political system, emphasizing the importance of these qualities in selecting leaders. Two, prioritize expertise in government appointments, implementing a merit based system for appointing ministers and other key government positions, selecting candidates based on their unique skills and experience rather than political affiliations. The third step here is separate politics from personal careers. create clear boundaries between political roles and personal careers to minimize the brain drain in crucial socio-economic sectors. The fourth point, streamline electoral processes, introducing reforms to minimize the disruptive impact of elections on communities and the economy, while also ensuring a smooth transition of power and the continuity of vital projects. Fifth, enhance parliamentary effectiveness. Foster a culture of constructive debate and collaboration in Parliament by emphasizing the importance of traditional wisdom and subject matter expertise. Encourage the involvement of technocrats in consolidating debated issues to ensure well informed decisions. Now, in the conclusion, to reshape the reality of politics for development in Africa, it is essential to address the challenges posed by colonial politics and take practical steps to create a system that aligns with the needs and aspirations of the people. By revitalizing traditional leadership values, prioritizing expertise, separating politics from personal careers, streamlining electoral processes, and enhancing parliamentary effectiveness, Africa can pave the way for sustainable development that benefits all. And with that, we've come to the end of this article and the end of our editorial for tonight. If you want more of such interesting articles, kindly visit our website at www.abcambertv.com for more. Subscribe, become a club member, and a part of this winning strategy. Final payment details on your screen. I am Star Smart reporting for Undaunted ABC Amber TV.
All right, thank you so much, Star Smart, for that report. Now, coming up next is sports. Well, Tuesday's Premier League matches will briefly be paused for Muslim prayers who have been fasting during the Ramadan. If clubs have requested a stoppage before the game, the referee will signal for a break, allowing Muslim players to eat and drink at the pitch side. Well, this sounds interesting. Gab Ellison has more of it.
Latest world sports. Football. Premier League matches to pause for fasting Muslim players during Ramadan. Tuesday's Premier League matches will briefly be paused for Muslim players who have been fasting during Ramadan. If clubs have requested a stoppage before the game, the referee will signal for a break, allowing Muslim players to eat and drink at pitch side. Everton's game against Tottenham was stopped in the 26th minute to allow players that had been fasting during the day to take on energy supplements. 3 Muslim players were in action for Sendichi's side at Goodison Park. Although sunset was before kickoff, allowing players to break their fast, a drinks break was pre-agreed with the referee when both teams, including Tofis Trio, Abdoulaye Dukor, Amadou Onana and Idrissa Gueye, came to the side of the pitch to take on fluids. Play does not stop while matches are in mid-flow, but at the earliest convenient moment, doing a goal kick, free kick or throw-in. Teams and match officials will discuss beforehand whether a pause is required and an approximate time for the stoppage will be agreed. With the 1945 BST kickoffs on Tuesday coming close to sunset, an agreement might be reached to delay the start by a couple of minutes to allow players to break their fast, which was the case in Friday's championship game between Burnley and Sunderland. In the evening games, Nampali's Mendy could come up against Boubacar Kamara when Leicester hosts Aston Villa, while Muslim players may also be involved in the Bournemouth versus Brighton and Leeds versus Nottingham Forest matches. Chelsea's game against Liverpool in London kicks off at 2000 shortly after sunset on Tuesday. Evening matches between Leeds and Liverpool on 17th April and Arsenal against Southampton 4 days later are the only other top-flight matches that kick off at 2000 BST this Ramadan. The Islamic calendar follows the lunar calendar, which means Ramadan starts about 10 days earlier each year, with the holy month now approaching the winter. Breaks in play for fasting players will be a regular occurrence in the coming years. Last month, Toffee's midfielder Doucouré told BBC Sport he always loves Ramadan, adding, "I fast every day. I don't miss any days. Sometimes playing football has been hard because Ramadan has been in the summer and during preseason, but I have always been lucky to practice Ramadan and there have never been problems with my physical condition. I am grateful for that. Tennis. Garbin Muguruza, ex-Wimbledon champion to take break from tennis until summer. Former Wimbledon champion Garbin Muguruza says she will take an extended break from tennis until the summer. The Spanish former world number one has only played 4 times this year, not appearing at all since January. The 29-year-old, who has dropped to 132nd in the world, said she will miss the clay and grass court season, spending time with family and friends, and it's really been healthy and amazing. So I'm going to lengthen this period till summer, Muguruza added. She reached the top of the rankings in 2017 and was third at the end of 2021, but did not pass the quarterfinals of a tournament last year. Muguruza won her maiden Grand Slam title at the French Open in 2016 and claimed the Wimbledon title a year later. Meanwhile, at the Charleston Open in South Carolina, former world number 3 Elina Svitolina fell just short of a win in her first match since giving birth to her daughter in October. The Ukrainian 28 lost 6-7, 3-7, 6-2, 6-4 in 2 hours and 46 minutes to Yulia Putintseva of Kazakhstan, but told the tennis channel that she was pleased with her performance. I had goosebumps, she said. It was a really sweet atmosphere out there. It was so nice to see many people, and they were really cheering me on to push through some tough moments. It was not easy for me physically today, but in the end, I'm really happy with the way I played. Now I can see more clear what I need to improve to be better. I think I'm hitting the ball well. I just have to work more on my fitness. I think a few bits here and there are going to help me to keep the focus more consistently, to be there in the moment. Australian rugby and NFL star Jared Hayne guilty of rape. Former Australian Rugby League star Jared Hayne has been found guilty of raping a woman in 2018. It is the 3rd time Hayne has faced trial for the same case, with the first ending in a hung jury and the second's guilty verdict overturned on appeal. The 35-year-old has consistently denied he attacked the woman in her bedroom, leaving her bleeding from the genitals. Hayne is one of Australian Rugby League's most decorated athletes and also had a brief NFL career in the US. He will be sentenced at a later date. Over 11 days in March, a jury in the New South Wales District Court has played hours of recorded evidence from witnesses including Hayne, the complainant, her family, and police. The court heard the pair had chatted on social media for 2 weeks before Hayne stopped at the woman's house in Newcastle, about 2 hours north of Sydney. After a bachelor party on 30th September 2018, the woman told Hayne she did not want to have sex with him after she realized he'd left the taxi waiting outside. Prosecutors had argued. Hayne orally and digitally penetrated her, despite the woman saying no and stop, they said. But the former National Rugby League NRL player insisted all sexual activity was consensual and that the injuries had been accidental. Hayne shook his head and his wife cried as the jury on Tuesday, after 6 days of deliberation, delivered their guilty verdict on 2 counts of sexual assault. The verdict ends a 5-year legal battle. Hayne first faced trial in 2020, but the jury was unable to reach a unanimous verdict. A second trial in 2021 resulted in a guilty verdict, but the player appealed. He argued the jury had been given flawed directions and that there had been an error in a pre-trial ruling on evidence. The player spent 9 months in jail before a judge threw out his conviction and ordered a 3rd trial. Hayne was one of the NRL's most high-profile athletes and twice won the Player of the Year award. He played 11 tests for Australia, helping them to win the 2013 World Cup. At the height of his NRL career, he in 2015 joined the NFL in the US with the San Francisco 49ers. Gab Ellison reporting from Undaunted, ABC Amba News.
All right, thank you so much, Gav Ellison, for that report. And with that sports report, we've come to the end of Undaunted tonight. But before we go, let's take a look at our major highlights.
Well, in tonight's Undaunted, we brought to you traders in DOP reopening their shops after a long period of disagreement with the colonial council, and also the untold stories of the Ambazonian War of Independence. We also brought to you tonight the ADF missing in action, giving La Republic du Cameroon military more grounds in Bamenda.
Also tonight, we told you that Bui County situation report is a positive one. And in sports, Premier League matches support for fasting Muslims during the Ramadan. And that was it for tonight on Undaunted, bringing to the news on church stories. On behalf of Michael Anchor, Smart, and the entire Undaunted crew, we say thank you for tuning in.
We'll leave you with ABC Amba TV images. Good night and God bless you.